ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an early bird special of the Saturday morning D&D show. Thank you so much for being with us 30 minutes early. I know it's not a lot, but like it really threw us off a little bit. So we have to end the show 30 minutes early because I have to watch my little boy. So because of that, we're starting a little early so we could have a whole show. So yeah, that's us. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, that's true. So. No, I was like, oh, I gotta like shower. I gotta do all this other stuff. It's crazy. But we're here. We're gonna talk about a bunch of stuff. I know. Everyone was telling me I should. I actually had my Jeweeblix video that came out on Friday that was supposed to come out on Wednesday. Was very behind on. So I was like, no, I got Thursday off. I got to just record. I can't have, and when I'm editing and stuff, I can't have things in the background. Like I really have to focus. So I thought I'd read about it later. And I did read what classes they're playing, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if all of them are released yet, or announced. Mm-hmm. Oh, no sound for Lucian. Hang on. There we go.
How about now? Yeah. Hey guys, good morning, YouTube. Twitch is like, keep going, Lucian, keep going. So they didn't have the subclasses listed, and it was kind of a fun game that me and Danimal and Yoda were all playing because we were all like live casting in the Discord. Like, oh, I wonder what it is. I wonder what this is. I wonder what subclass that is. Trying to guess. Mm-hmm. It was really actually pretty fun. I only watched the first 2 hours because for me, it started at 10 p.m. I lasted till midnight, and I was like, I gotta go to bed. I still have a Friday work day. I'm still kind of tired. I gotta go to bed. I'll have to catch up on what happens after that. But in the 2 hours,
because they're 4-hour shows sometimes. They're so long. That's and I like that they're doing this. I think it's great that they're the most popular. I feel like an old fogey where I'm just like, I can't keep up with a weekly 4-hour show.
And this is a new show, so full on spoilers. So if you're trying to say, Lucian, don't spoil anything, you come back in 10 minutes or something and we'll be done talking about it. We're just going to talk about it. The opening scene, a lot of times when Matt opens up the scene and he goes into super descriptive mode and tries to set the mood, a lot of time I get lost with him on some of that stuff. Like I'm kind of like he's over, for me, felt like he's overdoing it, or it just wasn't capturing me. But this first one, he starts describing that they're in this, he talks about the continents and where they're at, so you have an idea of where in the world we're at, Marquette. But he starts describing.
So people were confused. We're talking about Critical Role. Sorry, because you were muted, so they're just like, I couldn't hear it.
Gotcha.
So welcome everybody. We're going to start over with a Saturday morning D&D show. Critical Role is what we're talking about.
Campaign 3.
If there were spoilers, Campaign 3. If there were spoilers and you don't want to hear about it, there you go. But I did not watch it. Lucian watched it, so he was telling us his recap. Go ahead, sir.
A little bit. Yeah. And he starts talking about a jungle city, and I start really getting into it because he does a good job. And we have talked about my favorite campaign to date to play has been, going down to Cholt, playing Tomb of Annihilation with my team and Danimal and them. And that was a really good campaign start to finish. So he starts describing this jungle and this city that sits in it. And I'm like really getting amped up. I'm like, oh, this is really good. I'm finally like, I'm on track with what he's doing. I was like, this is really good. So far, I love the way this is opened up. He's the campaign, where they're at, what they're doing. And then he starts the whole thing with, all right. And we get to the first 2 characters. He sends everybody off except the 2. So, and we're just all laughing. We're like, you're going to start your first show and then you're going to send everybody away, your whole cast.
Yeah.
And there's surprises in there. There's it seems like there are a range of 3rd level characters up to about 5th level, because they were not all the same.
I saw some multi-classing, but
some multi-classing is happening already.
From what I saw, they were all 3rd level, but maybe not.
Yeah, Travis was not 3rd level.
Really?
Travis is 5th level. Yeah, that I saw on the card that they posted up when they did the thing. And the weird thing, they played some really cool stuff, because you're 2 hours in and they have not brought Travis back to the table yet. So you almost think like maybe Travis isn't playing this campaign. Maybe he gave his seat up so somebody else is sitting there and they've got a full panel and they're playing and they're going and they're doing stuff and they're role playing. And then finally he does come back in. So they're going to have one extra seat, it looks like, at the table. I don't know for how long. I don't know if it's permanent. I don't know if they're going to rotate people in and out. But it's definitely different than any of their other 2. Robbie is the person they've brought in, and he was one of the players that played in their Exandria Unlimited, I think was the name of it, which was their kind of like their stopgap campaign they played while they were getting ready for campaign 3. So Robbie's in the game playing his character that he played in the
Exandria Unlimited.
Exandria Unlimited campaign. But also, he's not the only one. So Liam's playing his character from that campaign.
Oh, okay.
And
so there's little like
is
crossing
Ashley.
Over here.
Ashley's playing her character from that campaign. Laura has her own. Marisha has her own new characters we hadn't seen before. Super cool. Sam and Taliesin are playing 2 different characters we haven't seen. And I'm calling it now. I believe Sam is playing Ted Lasso as a character. Oh. So if you guys haven't seen the Ted Lasso show, you'll have to go see it, because I think all the references he's going to be making throughout this whole campaign is going to be relevant to if you've watched that show, Ted Lasso, on, I think it's on Apple TV right now or something. We just watched it and just got done with season 2, and it was super funny.
I saw online, and I guess this is spoilers for you, sir, but like, I think Sam is a robot cleric. Like he's got because he was playing a little robot. So.
Yeah, his name is Fresh Cut Grass.
Yeah.
FCG. Now, what I couldn't tell, and I don't remember them showing what Taliesin was. I think Talison's a custom class.
Oh, really? Maybe.
Did you get that? He's playing He's playing an Earth Genasi.
Oh yeah, I think it was a barbarian or something.
Barbarian, but it's not a barbarian we know.
Oh,
like whatever subclass. Okay. Yeah, because he's spending chaos points and he's buffing up powers and things, and he's marking stuff off. All stuff I hadn't seen, unless it was the Wild Magic Barbarian, which I don't know if it was, but maybe it was, or some version of it. So we had that in there, and then Travis finally comes on. And he's playing his character from a Grog one-shot, I believe, or some other one-shot they did where he plays like an 80-year-old, mostly retired fighter adventurer who's coming back, it seems like. And so he's playing like this kind of interesting character. So I don't know.
His primal path is an unknown homebrew subclass, which I wonder if that'll be released in the Wizards book.
Yeah. So very interesting. So those are the characters. Yeah. Interactions seem pretty good. It's your typical first, the players haven't met each other style session. You know that as a DM, like where you're trying to bring your characters together. And yes, you could bring them all to a tavern, or however you want to bring them together. But it kind of has a little bit of that awkwardness to it, to where nobody quite knows where they should go, or where they're trying to think of where does Matt want us to go so that we meet the other players, so we can really get this thing moving. Yeah. So it has that little bit and I always get that in mind when I've always tried to find ways to bring the party together that's not awkward, and it just never seems to be quite right. You never perfectly land this group gelling together serendipitously, right? Not just being pushed together because we are all going to adventure for the next 6 months or whatever.
No, and that totally happened with I ran Kids on Bikes last Sunday, and exact same problem where everybody kind of decided to go their separate ways, and then one of my players literally said, "So I'm walking down the street," so that he could jump into the action, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, you're right. You also want to play. We just all went in separate directions. I'm not sure how to pull this back together."
Yeah. Because everybody's doing their character introductions, but it was fun. It was interesting. It's one of those that I'll probably watch the first 2, 3, maybe 4, keep up with it, and then it'd be too much to keep up on, and then I'll only check in every now and then and see where they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested at the moment. I thought the location sounded cool. The city that they're in sounds like something I would like to adventure in. This is the first time where I thought, okay, as a dungeon master, now you've given me something that's piqued my interest, and I might want to run something there.
Right.
I haven't gotten that a lot from a lot of the other stuff he's done in Wildmount and the Tal'Dorei stuff. This one was the first one that I was like, oh, this is interesting enough that I might want to try to tackle a cool adventure in this cool jungle top city, because it's all big guide wires and gondolas going from one spire to another. It's supposed to be 5 big spires that are different shapes and different things, and there's carved into the rock the way the cities, and it's a lot of balconies and walkways and stuff. And I'm interested to see, like, if they get out of there, what's the surrounding land like? What are the things they're gonna move into?
Sounds like the City of Towers and
so very kind of a cool
location
to start. I'm interested to see where we go with this one. Other than that, was there any other cool thing? It was fun kind of live texting with friends on Discord while the show was going on. That was super fun. That's a cool interactive way. Their chat on their Twitch was going by so fast. There was no way you could even interact.
Twitch chat is just getting, well, especially for those popular streamers. And then I think they have it enabled, like only people that sub can chat, but they have so many subs now that it's getting to the point where it's like, what? I don't know. I was really curious about, I think that's kind of the future of Twitch for me, is those having groups of smaller ones, like you and your friends watching together, but you're all chatting in Discord or something. And I've noticed that other Twitch streamers are like, hey, I'm going to rehost this so that we can all chat. Like, so, my community can chat about it, like, live,
I was thinking that would be fun for us to do a little bit, because you would be able to interact with our chat community enough to have fun and play little games, or have guessing games, or like bingo cards, or it's little cool things you could do while everybody's watching the show and things are happening. One thing that I did notice that was interesting, and this probably blew this one up, they were sponsored by Fool's Gold 5th edition Kickstarter. So you can go out to foolsgold5e.com, and I'm looking out their Kickstarter right now. They're already up to 864,000. I'm sure sponsoring the first episode of, and I don't know if it's just one episode or they did a couple of them. Sponsoring Critical Role probably is a smart idea.
Well, especially episode 1. That's going to get so.
Yeah, and I think I heard from
how
somebody
much that costs. Holy cow!
Somebody in Discord said their concurrent viewer rate doubled campaign 2. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. It just came out of chat, but that it definitely sounded like this
episode 1
premiere
of
1.
3 has doubled that.
So the Fool's Gold thing looks interesting. It's got interesting art style. I'm looking at it. I hadn't really jumped into it until just now. Looks like your typical 5e setting that they're going to have, where you can have different levels, Kickstarter levels for dice and miniatures and box sets. And
I don't know if you know about Dingo Doodles on YouTube, Lucian.
Oh, I know.
Okay, yeah. So she's very funny, and she draws a bunch of. She's actually friends with Puffin Forest.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So Dingo Doodles, and she's very funny. She does all the art on the book, and she draws little D&D stories, much like Puffin Forest. She's like, here's a D&D story, and she animates it, and it's funny. And it's interesting because on the top of the Kickstarter page is a Tarrasque, and that's one of her stories, is that her players caused a magic... they rolled on a magic table, and it ended up canceling out all magical effects within a huge radius, like a 3-mile radius. And the Dungeon Master freaked out because that actually broke the spell that had held the sleeping Tarask underneath the city for like thousands of years. So he was playing his world, and he's like, I guess this happens, and they're level 2, and a giant Tarask like erupts out of the ground, and it's really funny. They actually sponsored my next video that I'm making, so I've been aware of this for a little while. But I am surprised that they were on Critical Role. But I guess they're hitting all angles trying to make it.
Well, it's already looked like it'll be funded, so they're just now smashing through
$10,000 goal, and they're at 864,000. They're fine.
Some of the things you can get in it, content-wise, rules-wise, it's a 5e campaign of the YouTube channel there that they're doing. 30 plus new spells, alchemy stuff, 4 new races, 8 subclasses they're going to introduce, character backgrounds, curse and wilder magic charts. That sounds fun if it's like chaotic magic stuff. Fugal's adventure module comes with it, 35 more monsters, tons of new items and gear. So
and all the kinds art of cool looks stuff. Like her art. It's really fun.
Yeah. So very interesting if you're into that. Go out there and check that out. I thought that was interesting. And I think that's about my recap for Critical Role. I mean, I'm interested. I want to see. Now, I forget when they repost it if you didn't get to watch it, because I feel like they do this weird thing.
Monday.
Where, if you don't see it the night that it releases, you've got to wait 4 days before you can. I never understood. I mean, I think I understand why, because there's some money scheme in there. But I just feel like, aren't they big enough to get past that and just release it the next day, or put the bot out immediately, or whatever?
I mean,
I wait 4 days.
I don't think they're editing it really either. Like, because it's the live stream. But I wonder if they edit it for the podcast. I'm not sure.
Because I know it used to be they were going to stream on Twitch and YouTube, but they put the VOD on a different platform they were pushing that wasn't Twitch and streamed. Weren't they part of another streaming type subscription
or something weird like that?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Yeah.
And so they would put that on that one for 4 days in case you were a part of that as a subscription. You could see that early. And then it got released to the masses. Maybe somebody in chat knows for sure, like you said, like on Monday or something, and then it finally pops out.
Right.
But I just thought that was, I don't know. I always thought that was kind of weird.
Well, and if you want to hold it back like that, you can.
Sure.
For subscribers, but it would be weird to me if I was a Twitch subscriber and I didn't get access to the VOD until
right. And
Monday.
I think that's true.
So yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
So
I can see that, and that's an incentive to subscribe because you really like their stuff and you want to catch up, and so do it. But also, there was a lot of negativity about Critical Role when their numbers came out about how they made like $9 million or something. But I don't think that is a bad thing if you're a content creator to say, well, we're giving this away for free, but if you want to pay us $5 for a subscription, you have access to it earlier, So
yeah, some of the Twitch streamers I've been watching, some of the bigger ones, have been using a lot of that language since that leak of, hey guys, I'm doing really good. If you want to subscribe, you can. I'm well off right now. You don't
changing their
have
attitude towards it.
Yeah, they're just like, you guys, because the idea is people
did we
are
talk
donating.
About the Twitch leak? I don't even know.
Yeah, we did.
Did we? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
2 weeks ago. People are donating, their money, and I think the story where there was on a component of people being upset would be the story of somebody who has a Twitch channel and talks about how they need support. But then if that comes out and you're making 9 million, then that's not the message, right? Your message is, hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for enjoying the content. You're not saying, hey, we're barely making it here. We're barely keeping the lights on. Could you guys subscribe to help us out?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're getting a $50,000 a week paycheck or a month paycheck from Twitch. That's disingenuous, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying there's a lot of people who are doing that, but there are people on Twitch, I think, that do that. They do play on hey, if you got $2, just send me $2. It's only $2 to you, type thing. And I think that's kind of not a way to go. And not that Critical Role does that at all.
Yeah. No, I always think of Disguised Toast. He is a Hearthstone streamer. Mm-hmm. And there was a big article about him because he was on Twitch, and someone messaged him and was like, "Hey, I got to pull my funding," and he's like, "Okay, like whatever." And he's like, and then the guy gave him a reason saying, because of all of these financial troubles that I'm in.
Yeah.
But don't worry, once I get those all taken care of, I'm going to go back to restreaming. And he all of a sudden understood that, boy, that $5 to them is a lot. And I don't need that $5. I can get sponsorships and all this other stuff. And so he closed all of his subscription things and refunded a lot of that money for the month. And I don't know if he's taking subscriptions now. I think he moved strictly to Facebook because Facebook, this was all during Microsoft with what was their streaming platform that failed?
Mixer?
Mixer, yeah. So
Mixer.
Facebook and Mixer and Twitch were all kind of competing and buying up Twitch people to be like, now you're only streaming on our channel. Facebook did that with Disguised Toast, and I don't know what happened to him because they're still streaming on Facebook, so he might still be there.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really cool because he just didn't understand. Yeah. But a lot of fans, they feel like they need to give in a way. And it's like, you don't like at all. Yeah. And even with this, like if you want to subscribe, if you want to become a member of the Saturday Morning D&D Show channel, like I know Peter here is a member, but you're really helping YouTube more than not you. Well, I shouldn't say
half and half.
It's half and half. Like it's 50-50. So you have to think about that. Like when you're a Twitch subscriber, you're actually giving half of your money to Twitch, you know?
Well, and to follow up on that example, Co Carnage may have been watching recently quite a bit because he was playing a lot of the Pathfinder Kingsmaker stuff. He's very successful Twitch streamer right now. Also on YouTube, very successful there, making money there, has sponsorships and all that. He's turned his Patreon. All of that money now goes to just his mods that help him control. So when he talks about Patreon, he says, I'm getting so much that I don't really need more. So if you guys want to do it, it's cool. You don't have to do it. You want to tip subs, you want to gift subs, but hey, he's like, I'm nailing it. I'm good. Don't worry about it. You know, I want you guys to have your money. And I thought that's a cool message to put out there. So, and I think that's the right one.
And I don't know, we've talked about economics a lot.
Yeah.
For whatever reasons, but it's like if you have enough, build a longer table, don't build a fence kind of a thing. Like bring more people in to help them and feed them and do what have you. And it sounds like I think Critical Role does that. But also
and all the charities they do and all of that stuff.
They're good. And you know, Disguised Toast, I think he did the right thing. Sure, there's greedy people out there. Sure, corporations are greedy. Whatever. So, I mean, if you don't want it, don't put your money towards it.
None of us are immune to it. When somebody starts throwing money at you, don't think you're immune to somebody just throwing money at you to see how things change. But that's about the Critical Role campaign stuff. So that happened on Thursday. Keep an eye out for Monday if you missed it. And then I'll be interested to see what next Thursday is and where we're at. I've got to watch on Monday to see what I missed because I only made 2 hours of it. They do a 4-hour show. Imagine that too. Most streaming shows that me and you have been a part of barely make it 3 hours, really. And you feel pretty tired after doing kind of a 3-hour on-stream game with friends or other Twitch streamers and stuff.
I'm exhausted.
They're hammering out a 4-hour,
2 hours
fully acting kind of, wow.
2 hours is what I really like in a streamed game. At home, I'm just like, whatever, we'll play till we're tired. Right. But if I'm doing like a streamed presenting game, like I don't even like 3 hours anymore. So
right. Yeah, it's tough. You need that break in there. So other than that, other things that are going on here at the very end of October, getting close to Halloween. I'm sure, Jordan, I'm surprised you haven't put your notes on there for what you're doing for Halloween because normally you have lots of Halloween stuff going on. Other things are going on. Gamehole Con is happening right now this weekend. I've been seeing a lot of tweets and a lot of pictures of people over at Gamehole Con. That one's a popular one up north. I got to go to it.
It's really popular because I've heard about it a lot, but I don't even know what city it's in.
Right near, is it Milwaukee?
Is it? Okay.
Remember, I streamed from it.
Oh, that was
we did
when
a
you
show.
met WebDM. Okay.
Yeah, we hung out with WebDM. I was up there for work just north of there, and it just happened to be that weekend. So I drove down, got a hotel, and stayed for a couple of days and hung.
Oh, that's fun.
it's funny because more Wizards of the Coast employees go to that than they go to Gen Con.
Yeah, nobody from Wizards goes to Gen Con anymore.
Yeah, and I saw Matt Mercer at Gamehole Con when I was there. Took a picture of him. I met and had them all sign my book. Everyone, Jeremy, Kate, Chris, they all signed my book that I bought when I was there, and that was super fun.
That is cool.
So that was cool. That's a cool small convention, but it's very small. Like, it's in a small space. It is definitely not your Gen Con or your Dragon Cons or your, you know, I'm trying to think of all the other Origins.
PAX Unplugged.
PAX is
one, isn't it? Yeah.
PAX Unplugged is probably just a bit bigger than it. And then you've got Gamehole Con. So it's more of like one of your local game, small town kind of conventions for now. Maybe it'll keep growing in, you know, popularity. Matthew Lillard was there. Took a picture of him hanging out. He was Beatles and Grimm had a booth there when I was there, so it was pretty interesting. So that's there. Gamehole Con is going on, so keep an eye out for that. I did see Paizo was there with their team too, so they're hanging out and selling their stuff. I feel like I was for Free RPG Day, which I know you talked about last week, and you got some stuff for your Free RPG Day. I went and I looked, and I kind of perused my game store, and I didn't really see a ton of stuff I wanted, but I picked up the Goodman Games Temple of Elemental Evil double book sleeve set, and I'm like, oh, this is like Tolus, and I'm like, oh, this is good.
It's
and
really
I'm like,
good.
I put it back. I came home. I was like, I didn't do it, but I watched a video last night as I was going to bed. They were doing an unboxing, and a couple of the Goodman's Games employee were talking about the book and flipping through it. Immediately when we're done with our show today, I'm going back to buy it. So
I want to run
it. I have to have it. So I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna run it.
It's a 5th edition one, and I thought it would be interesting to run it because you have the original adventure too.
Yeah.
And I've been playing a lot of Old School Essentials, and part of me is like, I really want to run the Old School Essentials version, and then with a different group of people run the other, maybe in tandem, just to see how different it is. I thought that would be really interesting.
That would be a cool experiment,
wouldn't it?
If you could do it.
But I bought it, like I pre-ordered it, and it's beautiful. Like, it's so cool.
Oh, so you do got it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I bought it.
I'm going to get it after the show today. I'm going to get it.
No, I pre-ordered it from Goodman Games, and they mailed it to me. Like, I think it was 2 days before it released. It showed up at my house.
And we love Goodman Games. I mean, they're doing a lot of the cool stuff in the old school, you know, Renaissance stuff, OSR stuff, and
that's licensed by. They're doing Dungeon Crawl Classics.
Yeah,
they're not creating a lot of, but they are starting to create a lot of 5th edition content and
conversion stuff.
Temple of Elemental Evil and a lot of those other ones like what's the other one I have? Keep on the Borderlands and stuff.
Yeah, Keep on the Borderlands.
They partnered with Wizards to say, hey, we want to take these classic adventures and scale them up, and so you have the original adventure in there. And then you have their 5th edition conversion, which is really fun.
And it's huge.
And they're iconic. Like, it's fun. So
yeah, and it's got all the artwork in there. Yeah. They'll have some artwork that wasn't even seen. Like, they showed a piece which sold me on this. They had a piece that they were going to put on a module, but decided not to. And he was able to get that and put it in this book.
Yeah, there's a history too. So you'll see like author's notes and stuff about things they left out. So if you're interested in dungeon design and like RPG design of the old, it's really interesting just to read. But Temple of Elemental Evil, I didn't realize it was so iconic until this came out.
So classic.
I was like, okay, there's a reason that it's like, I mean, it's Temple of Elemental Evil. There was like Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil. Like, it's out there. The sad thing is you don't get PDFs with it. So Goodman Games,
it's a big book.
Well, Goodman Games, they're very good about giving PDFs out when you buy a book of theirs, because they're like, you bought it once, you should have access to it. But the contract with Wizards of the Coast prevented them from making PDFs of these. And I think that's because they have the original Temple of Elemental module in those books. And Wizards is like, but they could go to drive-thru and buy that. So I don't necessarily want to sell them to give that away for free, which I don't know. Maybe that's just my illogical thinking.
Oh, they definitely has a hesitancy to doing PDF stuff.
Yeah, but they won't do PDFs. They would not allow Goodman Games to dual cell PDF. So
No.
so that's the one bad thing is I was looking at it and I'm like, I have to run this straight from a book, which I haven't ran from a book in a long time. Like I've always had PDFs for the most part, or D&D
I think
Beyond.
what will work, because I am going to run it for sure. I am so jazzed about this. This is my favorite module of all time. This is the one I grew up on. I loved. And I'm going to do it through Roll20, through completely virtual game, so that I don't have to have it at the table, and it won't be as awkward, like you're saying, to have the big book and to try to figure out, what we're doing. So I think it'll be able to, because I'll be able to prep everything beforehand, get it all set, and then only have to maybe reference it after a session or before a session. Versus if you're playing with it at a table, you're right, it's a big book to try to
it's two
maneuver
large
around.
tomes, and I thought it was the original and the 5th edition. But it's not. It's like the first half of the dungeon and the second half of the dungeon.
Yeah,
I was like,
he said this thing is so big it needed 2 books, and they ran with it. So I was like, wow, this is so good. So I can't wait. So
you should go get it. I mean, it's expensive, but it's fun. Like,
$100 cool. I think, but that's okay.
We're collectors too, in a way. So you're like,
I got Tolus.
I'm still overthinking Tolus, and so my birthday's tomorrow, and
happy birthday.
Part of me is like, is that, do I want to, maybe, like, I know that's the gift that I always think of, like, giving. What's that unnecessary thing that I want?
Invisible Sun.
And Invisible Sun was one of those. And I now have Invisible Sun. I own every Invisible Sun product because I'm stupid. But Tolus is one of those where I'm like, do I?
Monty Cook stuff. It's so hard to pass up when you start seeing it. And you see somebody else flipping through it, or you see some of the artwork, or you hear about something inside there, it's like, you've got to have it. Everything Monty Cook throws out there, I just grab because it's so good. So very cool.
He's very quickly becoming my favorite game designer. Like, I've been reading a lot of older D&D 2nd edition stuff in research for videos, and his name keeps popping up, like, Monty Cook did this and Monty Cook did that. I'm like,
he has lots of interesting ideas, and he takes fantasy in some fantastical directions, which is awesome, because you think you know what fantasy is, and then he takes it in another direction. You're like, oh, that's right. Fantasy can go that way too.
And it's not just, I want to take fantasy but make it post-apocalyptic. It's not like he takes our existing fantasy, I don't know, like common knowledge that we all have of dragons and stuff, but he'll do these really interesting switches, and that's where
I always think fantasy weird.
And that's where we get like sigil or sigil and a lot of these other things, and these really interesting, like a donut shaped Taurus city, and like why, but when you start thinking of, I don't know, I've really liked him as a designer. So
So, well, if your birthday's tomorrow, maybe you want to save a few of your birthday bucks that you're getting to take part in the Steam sale, because they're doing an RPG tabletop edition till Monday, and I'm sure that could swallow your wallet up pretty quick.
That could.
Because I was just thinking, one of the best things I saw Jerry was saying from Acquisitions Incorporated and Penny Arcade. Yeah. He was like, I love that they're putting out electronic editions of board games for that person who can never get their friends together to play a board game. Lucian. He can then enjoy Gloomhaven, because I've always wanted to play Gloomhaven. I've never got to play Gloomhaven. I'm going to get to play Gloomhaven if I go buy it on a Steam sale or something, if they play this digital version of it.
It's not, so this sale
is the same, but
I want to point out, this sale is like actually it's both tabletop RPGs, but it's it's just RPGs. Like, so you've been playing that
Pathfinder Wrath
game.
Of the Righteous, so
and I
good.
think Kingmaker is out there.
And
a few others. You could probably get Divinity Sin, which is really fun.
Divinity Sin 1 and 2.
I was surprised and sad that Baldur's Gate 3 is not on this list. Disco Elysium is a game that I really wanted to get. But So, but there's 2 Gloomhavens. There's one that is the actual board game, isn't there? And then there's one that's like,
I haven't researched it.
Or maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. But it looks like it's out now, because here it says Gloomhaven October 20th, 2021. So that just came out.
I think it just released.
But Gloomhaven's so good. But here's Fantasy Grounds for cheaper, which is awesome.
So lots of cool RPG stuff out there for those of you that like to play it on Steam.
60% off. So
yeah, there you go. I tried playing number 2 and it was tough. I'm having a lot of fun in Wrath of the Righteous. If you haven't got it yet, it's a high recommendation for me because it's good.
I have to be quiet about this. There's a rumor that a Nintendo Switch OLED might be appearing tomorrow.
Oh.
So if that happens, I'm going to be playing a lot of Metroid. Goodbye, everybody.
Do you have to act surprised when you see it?
Well, I was on. Yeah, I do. No, not in a way, not necessarily. But I said like, hey, I want one, and then I was looking online because they were like sold out everywhere, and I was like, oh,
chip shortage,
and because of the chip shortage, and so then I was on my friend Alan, who's a really cool guy. He is very invested in getting the scalpers to stop with PS5s and stuff.
PS5's the worst.
Yeah. So he was like, here's how I got a PS5. And so he went through all of these steps. He's like, you can use these same steps to know when they restock. Like, and so I signed up for all these Twitter notifications and Discord bots and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so when a new one would pop up, it's like, here you go. So I was on GameStop, just like hitting refresh, being like, I'm going to buy this for myself. And I didn't get it. And I was complaining to my wife that I'm like, oh, I didn't get it and whatever. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she left and came back with a box. And she's like, don't look at this. And I'm like, what did you get? She's like, don't even look at it. And I'm like, where did you go? How am I on like 15 different notification boards and you walk out and get like, did you? And she won't answer. And so
I could see the face that she wore because my wife would have done the same thing. If I told her, man, I've been trying to get this, I'm on all these websites, she would have said, let me show you how the professionals do it. She would have came back with it.
Yeah, that's exactly like, probably what
how did you do this? Shopping professionals.
And I'm not a big console fan anymore, but I'm a big Metroid fan. Yeah. And so when they were showing that and saying it was the best Metroid game since like Super Metroid, I'm like, and people are raving about it, so I really want to play it. So
nice. And it's something you can do while you're watching your kid right next to him. You can be right next to him.
Oh no, probably not, because he's going to want to touch it and play it. And
he needs.
I tried playing because we got a Wii U from a friend, and I tried playing games next to him, but all he wants is to hold it and play it. And then I got a dummy controller because you're like, oh, your little kid brother here, have the one that's not plugged in, but he doesn't. He's like, no, this doesn't do it. And so then he wants your controller.
He figured you out.
So frustrating. But
it's awesome.
We'll see. I don't know. It's fun. I haven't been playing a lot of video games because I play too many RPGs and other stuff. But I do love video games. So anyway, yeah, go check out Steam. I love Steam sales. They're fun.
Me too. They hit my wallet so hard. I love all these. I've got hundreds and hundreds of games. I have to sometimes tell myself, take this weekend to play games you bought and never touched. Yeah. Because I often will buy them and forget I have them and then be playing something else. And there's been a lot of great games that have come out. I don't know if you've noticed it too. It's like my wallet has been burning up. There's been good computer games. There's been good Kickstarters happening recently. There's been good RPG books coming out that I've been wanting. It seems like every week I'm spending $50 on something that's like this game of this or this book of that or this PC game of that or this console game of that. And it's just like, whew.
Yeah, good stuff. I've been buying a lot of RPGs lately, and I told myself that I need to stop.
Because I need to play them.
Yeah, because I need to play them, or I need to utilize some aspect of what they gave me in some way. And I think this circles back to, we were talking about just the oversaturation or the bloat, I guess, of D&D in general, and that we really do all want this. Like, I know you want options, I want options, I want all this stuff, but you think about all of these new classes that have come out for D&D, and let's just talk about D&D 5th edition, but all these new classes, all these new settings, all these new adventures, and I have played a fraction of them. Yeah. Like, as a player, and on top of that, I have ran less. Yeah. You know, and so,
and like a greedy child, I keep asking for more. So I haven't gotten to those.
But I want more. There's that idea of like, and I think Wizards took the right approach. Chris Perkins said in an interview that he's like, when I write a adventure, I want it to be an interesting read for the dungeon master. And there was some Twitter thread where people were saying, like, do you just buy RPG books to read for fun? And I'm like, that's totally me. Like, I'm reading Temple of Elemental Evil. I want to run it, but at the same time, I'm reading it just because it's fun. Like, it's a cool adventure. Icewind Dale was like that for me. Like, I read that cover to cover, and I'm like, this is just a fun adventure. I don't think I'll run it, which is sad because it's good. But is it sad? Is it a waste of money if I don't do it? Like, I don't know.
I always buy because I want to play it, but I should be telling myself, you're never going to get 5 friends together to play Gloomhaven. So why are you buying this big giant box of Gloomhaven stuff?
Because it was on sale, and that's why I bought it.
But I want to play it, and I think it's cool, and I want to have it. And I probably will never play it. But the same thing with the RPGs. I mean, I'm buying all these RPGs that are so cool. Yeah, we never have the time mine's more about the group, I think. It's so hard to find groups that play non-D&D stuff, and it's a trope at this point to say that, and so many people do say it. But it's hard to get a group of people, say 4 people, excited about Delta Green that want to play a 2-year-long campaign. I can throw a rock and hit anybody that wants to play a D&D 5e campaign for 2 years. They're scrambling and looking for DMs at this point. But to say, hey, I got this cool idea for Delta Green, or I got this cool idea for Aliens, I'm just not finding that group that's that excited about it. They'll play a one-shot.
Yeah. I lucked out because my current DCC game, I said, here are the options, and I put like Invisible Sun out there and a bunch of other stuff, and then they came back and they were like, no, we really like Katie sold us on the funnel. She said it was really fun, we want to play that. And I'm like, okay. And this has been the longest like non-D&D game that I've played in a while. Like, it's fun. So
I did see on Twitter too, sort of off topic, James, our friend James Wall, he's diving into Mothership for the first time, and the book has grabbed him like something fierce.
It's really good.
We should get him to run Mothership for us.
I would,
because I've always wanted to play that game, but I found nobody who wants to run it so that I can learn how to play it and learn how to understand it, because I've read it, but I didn't understand it enough that I thought I could run it. He'll dive into it and do it.
He'll understand it.
We should contact him and say, James,
no, we should. I would love that, because that's a game that is also
that's on my list.
But I haven't.
That one's on my list.
It's really good.
I'll reach out to him and see what he's doing. Okay. See if we can get a night.
Zris points out in chat that you can play Gloomhaven solo.
Right. Now you can. Oh, do you mean that they have in the
actual
board game? Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
It's a little difficult because you have to use multiple characters, but it's also kind of fun because you can level up those characters.
Yeah. I bought that Legendary game, which was the card game that we played at Gen Con together, and we had like 4 or 5 of us sitting at the hotel and we were playing. And I thought you always had to have at least 2 or 2 to 4, 2 to 6 players. I just reread the rules in there. There is a way to play that board game as a solo too. And so some of these board games do have solo mode, and I just didn't know about. So that is something I should be looking into, because that could be a fun way if you don't have a board game group that's willing to play board games with you, that maybe you could play some of the solo versions. And I'm just thinking, like, my content creator brain is thinking, but if you got cameras and you're like, I'm going to film myself playing Gloomhaven solo, but then ask the chat for assistance, like, where should I go? Or let them play the other people.
Like, well, not actually play the other people, but like, if you just ask chat for help, I would watch that. I think that would be interesting. If you like the person that's streaming, like, you like their personality, that's always the key. But I don't know. Now that I think about that could be a lot of fun to just like, all right, it's like Friday night Gloomhaven. I'm going to play with Twitch, and we're going to just play Gloomhaven.
Yeah, so that'd be cool. That's a cool idea. I like that. I want to do Legendary. I've got a couple other board games that I bought at Gen Con that I've never gotten to play that just seem like really fun games. But,
nice.
So that, I think, is about our news. Here we are at 12:14. It feels weird, Jordan, jumping into Pathfinder stuff. The only thing I came up with is that they were at Gamehole Con. They did form an employee union at Paizo, is the big news.
Yeah, we talked about it last week a little bit.
So they have an actual
working conditions are
union.
just not the best. And chat was asking me last week, well, what do you think about that? I'm like, well, I'm I'm pro union. Like let people control their work environments for the better. So that's awesome. So we'll see where that goes. I didn't know that things were so bad there, but I guess I don't work there and you don't hear about that because of PR teams.
Sure.
But Blizzard was the same way. Like all of a sudden this stuff came out from Blizzard and I was like, what? Like I didn't know they were such a terrible company, like in or covering up things that they shouldn't have covered up. And
yeah.
Yep.
And definitely for some, because I have 2 friends that work at Blizzard right now and they absolutely love their jobs and none of that stuff happened to them where they're at. But there's obviously some stuff that happened to other people in Blizzard that was definitely unacceptable. But they love their job. Like when they got that job and they're like, I'm going to work for Blizzard, it was like a dream come true for them. But I have heard that, maybe they don't pay their programmers enough, or maybe they don't pay your people, considering the giant monstrosity of games that they have out that you think they could. So I think we talked about this again, I was 2 weeks ago too, you must talk about it last week, that the idea that there's a movement right now of workers looking at their company owners and saying, hey, you guys are making a lot of money. Maybe you could share a tiny bit more of it.
Yeah. And it's all going to like CEOs and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like
stakeholders.
I would really like profit sharing to be a thing again.
Yeah.
Because we, like, a company is
all
people.
of us make this together.
Like, yeah, a company is people. A company is not like this separate thing. And without people, you don't have a company. And so anyway.
So and it just seems like a big movement right now, which I think is a good movement. It's a good movement to reassess, hey, are we paying our people a proper amount?
Do we have a sustainable business model?
Do we even have a sustainable? Yeah.
Or have I been exploiting my workers? Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing is their book out is Gears and something, which is Gears and Guns, Guns and Gears. Yeah. They brought that to their, really cool stuff. So if you're into that, I keep looking at the Pathfinder books. I keep thinking about picking them up and starting to get into it. They have great artwork. They have a great system, different than D&D, but similar enough that you understand it. I don't know. It's a good company out there that I haven't really spent money on. I give Wizards of the Coast money all the time, and I just feel like, maybe Paizo should get some of that money that I spend every now and then. They seem to have, people that are putting a lot of their heart into their
they kept that RPG
so.
torch alive when 4th edition was running around,
Bombed out,
because it was like, people want this. They don't necessarily want the D&D brand,
Right. So that brings us to what me and Jordan have done gaming wise in the last week or 2, really, because I wasn't here last week. But what about Jordan? What you been doing? What's Halloween going to have for us?
Oh, Halloween next week. So, I ran my annual Halloween Kids on Bikes game last Sunday, and that was at the table and recorded it. And I feel very bad. I don't know if LB is still watching this show kind of occasionally, but I got LB and Lex and Kugo the Mighty and Harlan from Better Than Heroes. He runs a Spelljammer game you guys should check out. It's really good. And I said, hey, do you guys want to play Kids on Bikes? And they said yes. And then we got into scheduling nightmare. And I don't know if I'll be able to play. So all of the prep I did for that, my Dungeon Crawl Classics game on Sundays, I said, do you guys want to play Kids on Bikes? And they were all on board. And we had the most hilarious game about the urban myth Polybius. I don't know if you know about Polybius.
I do not know this urban myth.
So in 1981, in the Portland, Oregon area, a mysterious arcade cabinet appeared in video game arcades across Portland called Polybius, is the rumor. And it was black and it just said Polybius on the top, which is an ancient Greek. The name Polybius is an ancient Greek philosopher or mathematician, I forget. But the idea is that the Men in Black put this in, and it was a way to test mind control. So the game, like, you would play the game, but you didn't really know what you were playing, and it was just controlling your brain or something, or causing seizures. Who knows? And then mysteriously they all vanished, and the government won't talk about it, and blah, blah, blah. It's an urban myth. Who knows?
Love this.
I took the Polybius myth and applied it to this Kids on Bikes game that I ran. We had so much fun, like tears streaming down our face laughing.
Yeah,
like it was
awesome.
So I'm going to work on that audio today, and I'll release it on the Jocular Junction and on Patreon podcast, and maybe Saturday morning D&D show podcast. Why not? Like, I can do all three. If you're interested in listening to an actual play, we had a lot of fun. I just have to edit it down and clean up the audio a little bit. So that was a lot of fun. Like, and I love that I have a Halloween tradition of kids on bikes. It's been so much fun.
Such
to just,
a good
like,
game.
Like, I just love that game so much. So it's so good. Other than that, I was playing in my DM Nathan, who's running his homebrew game. We're currently in a place called Nellalum, which he told me to the side, like, this is the Feywild. He's just like, I just don't call it the Feywild, but like, this is the Feywild. And I'm like, okay, cool.
His version of it.
His version, yeah. And so we're running around Nellalum. I'm not from here, but the rest of the party is. They're all like Nellalum natives who accidentally got spirited away to the Prime Material Plane, and now they've made their way back. But 3 months for them has been 5 years in Nellalum. And so they're like, the repercussions and everything's happening. Like, what is going on? So my character is hunting for an evil alchemist that is evil. And my organization is out to get evil, terrible people, magical things. So I'm hunting him. They're following, or I'm with them because of safety and they know the area. But we went to an Eladrin city, and I forget the name of it, but everything was built on like pyramids, and it was just like crazy architecture. And so like pyramids on top of pyramids and inverted pyramids and just like tetrahedrons everywhere kind of a thing. We went to a gladiatorial arena where they put 20 slaves versus a like baby green dragon, and and we didn't like any of this. So ultimately we ran in there to try and like stop the slaves from dying and to stop the poor dragon from getting killed, because it was like, this is just awful. Then we met a party member's father who said that some organization came in and just started controlling everything. And that organization, the head of it in this city, is the alchemist guy that I'm trying to find. So that's where we ended. We're level 9. I'm very excited to keep playing because I want to know, like, I got to get this guy. And the alchemist is a mind flare. We are slowly learning. Like, I thought he was a human for the longest time because I was only aware of his actions.
Them mind
but
flares.
Now he's a really terrible mind flare. So it's been a really fun game.
Best bad guys ever.
Yeah. I was playing a monk, an elven, or a sea monk.
This is the one you changed, right?
And I changed to a tiefling bard.
We talked about this.
That I'm having a lot more fun with. So my tiefling bard, Rubri, she's really cool. And I've never played a girl character before, actually. But it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
So do you think? I don't even remember if we talked about this after show or was it on show. Do you think the monk class is broken?
I don't think it's broken. I think it's not fun.
You just don't. You didn't like it.
I didn't like it at all, and I think it's.
Do you think others would like it?
No, I think it's. Well, I guess it's broken in that sense.
Okay then, yeah.
Because much like how the ranger, you can have fun with the ranger, and you can have fun with the monk. But when you're seeing your friends do all of these really cool things, and you're just like, okay, hunter's mark, it's not nearly as fun. It doesn't have that satisfying feel. And I think they need to change things about the monk. I don't know how to change it, but I didn't like it.
All right, interesting.
Especially the monk of the 4 elements. Yeah. Maybe other monks are more fun, but that one was not interesting.
That's the one. I only got to play that one for like a session, and I enjoyed the session I played it in, but I didn't get to play it long term or through like level 1. I think I was already level 3 or something, but it was like, I have not played, monk has not been a class I played in D&D 5e much, unless it was a one shot. So I've not really had a lot of experience with that. It's interesting.
I don't think you have a lot of, you don't have a lot options to do. And when you don't take Stunning Strike, or you decide to do something other than Stunning Strike, it feels like I should have just done Stunning Strike.
Yeah.
And so I want that to be removed and reflavored into other things, so that if I do an attack, maybe there's a chance of stun or a similar status effect, but stunning a monster is too good even if it's a monster with legendary resistances, because then you're burning those legendary resistances for one key. And I don't like it.
I do that with the Warlock a little bit. I try to stay away from the Eldritch Blast.
Another problem, yeah.
But
you kind of need
it. Does have tools that you can go to that you can kind of work around it, and you can. Whereas maybe the monk just doesn't have a better option at that point. Like when you have one option, it's always the right option. That means you're always going to do that one option.
Well, and you get it automatically. So you always have it. You can't even say like, I didn't take Stunning Strike. Like you always have it. And that's how I felt. Like I had all of these cool things where I could manipulate water, and I could freeze water, and I could flood areas, and I could water whip, and I could do, I mean, it was like, that sounds so cool on paper. But then I start saying like, well, I'm unable to do 3 attacks if I do this water attack.
Yeah, the economy.
3 attacks is 3 chances for a stun, and those 3 attacks do more damage. Those 3 key points have a higher chance of helping the party, versus doing less damage, using more key points to cast Water Whip, and it not doing anything. So
interesting.
It was not fun, much like we've talked a lot about the Ranger in the past, but the Ranger is the same way where, you know.
Yeah, I played a Ranger that was fun.
Yeah.
I could I know
I love my Beastmaster Ranger.
And my Ranger was fun.
But like you have problems when your pet dies in a single hit, and then you lose half of your ability to do things. And so, I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, everybody out there that's listening to that, let us know if your monk experience was any different, why it might have been different, or maybe you had the same experience. Let us know, because I had no idea. I would not have said the monk class was broke until after we started talking about it.
I would not either until I played it. I thought it was fine. I was like, I don't know, but
interesting.
I don't like it.
Very interesting. That sounds like a lot of fun. I made it down to the 9th level of the Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
Congratulations.
Which is where Hallister has a school.
A school?
A wicked, think of Harry Potter rated R, or Saw the director created it kind of school.
Okay.
Twisted Harry Potter magic school.
Okay, twisted magic school. That's cool.
And we're finding out all these interesting, weird, sadistic mages or wizards or witches or warlocks or whatever he's training or schooling there. And it's been an interesting. 2 of our players have decided to become students. My Aarakocra archer doesn't have anything to do, so he's been wandering around the halls meeting people. So I got to meet the kitchen staff, which is ran by demons. I got to meet some instructors. And they're all like, man, your character had a lot of fun in the school. He's not even a student. I'm like, I'm just wandering around because they're doing the student stuff or whatever.
That's
they're trying
awesome.
to figure that out. And I'm just like wandering around this campus, and it was super funny. And our dungeon master really got into it. So it was kind of fun. And what was even funnier was, they were told, because they're students enrolled, they said, go to your room and prepare, and you'll have like an entrance exam or something. So they go to their room and they're getting ready, but we're not enrolling. So it was like me, the Echo Knight's Echo is going to follow me, and then one of the other players' familiars. It's us 3 wandering the halls, meeting people. So when we come up on some student or some person, they basically see an Aarakocra, arcane archer, a shadow echo of a Warforged, and then a Kazi is a Quasit familiar.
Oh, okay.
So that's us 3 just walking around asking people, and our whole thing was, hey, where's the cafeteria? Was the whole thing. And so they're like, you gotta go that way or you gotta go this way, and we met up with other people, and it was just a really funny episode. So it was kind of like, in my mind, it was like, oh, it's kind of like Strixhaven, but darker,
Yeah.
So I was like, and I was talking to Danimal, I was like, maybe you should get the Strixhaven book and we could play Strixhaven right here, right now. He's like, oh, that's a good idea. And then Critical Role, the very first scene, the very first character screen, they go to a school, to like a library or something. They're trying to find information. I'm like, yes, Critical Role's watching our show. They stole from us. Yes. But it's been pretty good. We're down on level 9. We're mapping it out. I'm sure fighting and combat's going to break out at any moment, because we're definitely a murder hobo group, and it just always happens that we end up burning through stuff. That's been really cool. And then I don't know, it was the middle of the night. One of these nights I start typing in mine and yours chat on our Discord, where me and Jordan talk about the show, and I'm like, I got this idea for a class, the Demon Bag Sorcerer that I always brought up, and I'm like, I want to do Demon Bag Sorcerer, Infernal Contract Sorcerer, which would be for devils, and the Angelic Artifact, which would be for angels. So like the demon bag is your bag can contain demons, and you use them to pull them out, and they fight for you, or they do stuff for you, or they're utilitarian, or they guard you, or they do whatever. And then the Infernal Contract is you're basically a person that goes around as a sorcerer and gathers 4 to 5 by the time you hit 20 contracts of devils that you can call upon to help you throughout your adventures. So you're basically an Infernal Contract sorcerer, and they're part of your gear, and you have like a whole crafting of how you create the contracts and how you bind these devils and stuff. And then the Angelic Artifact would be anytime you find a piece of artifact that has the essence of an angel or an essence of one of the type of the divine host, not the gods, but the because there's all kinds of different angelic type
celestials
out there, celestials.
Yeah.
And so you create an artifact that as you put the pieces together, you can call for a limited time, you can call that angelic whatever. So maybe it's a cherub, or maybe it's it's an actual true angel, or maybe it's Pegasus, an ASMR, or maybe it's anything that would fall into that. And then that would be so almost like summoning subclasses for the sorcerer. I was just thinking, I was like, so I'm typing all this in Discord, and I'm just like, my brain was on fire with ideas as I was going.
That's
through.
cool.
And it's just like it was like midnight. It was like midnight or 1 o'clock. I'm typing that in, and Jordan's like, yeah, that sounds good. Go to bed. Or whatever.
There's a lot. You and Lex also, they'll message me, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. And it's like 10:30, and then I think about it, and I'm like, it's like 1 a.m. Go to bed. What are you doing?
I got this idea in my brain. I can't get it out.
No, it's a fun idea. I think the step you should take is see if you can make all 3 of those into a magic item, or 3 different magic items.
Yeah, the bag.
And if they work, you can extrapolate that for a class, That would be interesting.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, that they had to have physical things. So the bag has on the outside of it all of the runes and things you would draw into it, or all the things that would contain the demons that are in there. And your bag would have to grow more powerful as you got leveled up to bring in more powerful demons that you were going to have. So like at some point you want to get a Cambion, but you would have to modify the demon bag to be able to contain, because you start out with maybe just like a closet or something, or maybe you start out with like a, and that's all your bag can contain. That's all the power it can contain. And then the contracts were basically, I was thinking like the scrolls that you see on Warhammer 40K or Inquisitors, they carry the seals and they carry rolled up scrolls on their armor, and they can use those, and you would rip it open, and then you could call, maybe a demon to come out or a devil to come out and help you, a barbed devil come out and jump out and help or something. And so that's, it's like a physical thing you're interacting with.
Yeah,
and then the artifact.
If we can find,
be cool.
Because it sounds similar. Like I want to do the same thing, but with a puppet master, where you have like an automaton that you control. But what you're saying is like, I have to upgrade my bag. Well, those rules could apply to, I have to upgrade my robot.
Yeah, it could be an artificer. So, you could go that route.
Not even just an artificer, but if my point is if we can make a pet class standard set of rules, you could go and flavor it these different routes, and that would be really interesting. So I don't know, because I really wanted to do a puppet master where like I could project into the puppet, and then so you could hide your physical body, but your puppet could go in and fight and do cool things or something.
What is the name of that guy in Naruto that does that?
That's exactly what it's inspired from. I forget his name too, but
he's so cool.
Yeah, I love the puppet master.
He has like a puppet inside a puppet, and the puppet jumps out and starts fighting. Oh, I love it. That's good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. So, and if we've always talked about if we ever do our own 5e campaign setting, those might be things that could show up in like a campaign setting that we could do, where we could add in some subclasses, or we could add in a new class, or add in some other stuff just for players, not just for DMs and stuff too. So that's how my brain worked. And I played a bunch of, I know we're at our time here at this point, but
we're fine.
Our Pathfinder, man, I finally got past chapter 1 on one of mine. I've got 5 saves of different characters I've created. One of them is past chapter 1, and it's so good. I'm loving it. but I'm like, I'm going to get the second one past chapter 1 now. So I'm finally getting into that part where it starts to open up and you start to get troops and you're going to go to big battles. And there's a whole tactical layer plus the story that's going on. And the story is fantastic. The voice acting is fantastic. The rules are fun. It's got a few glitches here and there every now and then. Like I try to do a charge and it stumbles or it doesn't work right because of the way the map is, but it's still a good representation of playing a Dungeons and Dragons game, you know, and it's just super fun. So if you don't have it, definitely pick it up or put it on your Steam sale. And when it hits 50% off or something, grab it.
Like totally worth it then. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
That's it for Lucian's gaming. I'm looking forward to more gaming. And when we're done here, which is in about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, I'm going to get Temple of Elemental Evil.
Yeah. It's so cool. I should hang on.
Show it to him. Show it to the client. Here you go, boys and girls and everybody else. Look at this. Look at this. There's the iconic art.
For the kids at home. Like art. It's this double book. Like it comes in this slipcase. Yeah. It's so cool.
And it's number 6. They've done 5 other of these conversions.
Oh.
Look at that.
And it's super thick. Yeah, these are really
beautiful.
Cool. They're really fun. And they've got ribbons in them. They're like stitch bound. Mm-hmm. It's like super good quality. But yeah.
Classic art. And that was one of the things they were saying on the video I was watching. They were like, could you imagine being around in the art direction department in the 80s at TSR and Wizards of the Coast? It's just like classic.
No, if you're a collector, I think these are really worth it.
Because that's right when.
But I haven't ran it, so I don't know if it's like, oh, this is like a great adaptation. But it's really cool.
Yeah,
so.
They said this book had come out, not this one, but the original Temple of Elemental Evil was exactly the time they started ramping up Dragonlance. So imagine in that art department, they're ramping up to make all the Dragonlance books, and they're getting all that artwork together, and it's being created right at that time. And that artwork is iconic.
It's pretty hefty. It's super cool though. I really like it. Anyway, it's fun and hefty and awesome. So go get it. We'll talk about it next week. For home defense. Somebody breaks in, just throw that at them. Take some out. Sounds good. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week, and I'll tell you all about my birthday, I guess. I don't know. It's going to be fun. We're going to watch Dune tomorrow. Very excited for that.
I hear that's a popular movie.
Birthday weekend started last night. I went to our gorgeous local old historic theater, and they were showing older movies, and we watched Beetlejuice in a sold-out theater. Oh, God, 700 seats.
Classic.
And people were cheering and clapping and dancing to the songs. Oh, it was
insane.
And I love that movie.
Word.
So much fun. So much fun. So I'm on cloud 9. I'm doing really well today. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week, and take care. Let us join the Discord, chat with us. We're always in there. And I'll see you guys. We'll see you next week. Bye everybody.
Bye everybody.